All right. Yeah. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. Listen, can I share some very exciting news with you to start with, though? Haven't told this to anybody. You notice I was here Monday. I was gone Tuesday and yesterday. Spent a little time with Matt. But I'm glad to be back today because, I mean, I'm so excited with this news I can barely stand it. You know, I just signed a contract with HBO. How about that? What do you guys think about that? I know! I am super excited. You just won't believe it. You know, for $19.99 a month now, I can watch anything they have 24 hours a day. It's amazing. I can see you guys love it too. That's fantastic, you know. That's great news. Perfect. Listen, I heard a story one time. It is great. And it's about this man that was working at home. We've all done it. Work at home. You got kids running around. And his daughter would run in and say, Daddy. He said, listen, not right now. Daddy's working. Daddy kept interrupting him, and he thought, I have to do something. So next time she came in, Daddy, I got a question. He said, listen, why don't you take this puzzle, and why don't you go work on this puzzle, and when you're done with it, you can come back to me, and then we'll talk. He thought that'll keep her busy for a while. So he gets back on his computer, and he's working, and wasn't any time. She comes in, and she said, Daddy, I'm done. He said, how could you be done? I gave you a puzzle of the world. What little girl is going to know how to put all those pieces of the world together? He said, how did you do that? Let me go see. And it was correct. He said, how did you do this so quickly? She said, well, it was easy, Dad. You know, I discovered that there was a picture of a man on the backside. And she said, once I made sure the man was right, the world was right. I want you guys to think about that for a minute. The things you've learned this week and the impact that you're going to have, once you make sure the man is right, the world becomes right. I had that man is right changing moment when I was in high school. I told a group of students not too long ago, I'm ashamed to admit that over 4 years of high school, I read one book in 4 years of high school. Fortunate for me, the one book I read changed my life. It got this man here right. And I am proud to tell you that book is right here. See you at the top. I tell everyone, everywhere I go, it's see you at the top. This book changed my life. This book will change your life. This book will change other people's lives if they have it in their hands. Tom referred to a seminar I gave recently. It's a network marketing company. And I do a lot of free talks. And the reason I do a lot of free talks is because what happens at those? You get referrals. Well, I happen to have 30 people in the room this night, and I created a presentation for sales for these guys. And I got up there and I told the story about how this book changed my life. And we were talking about leadership, and I said, how many people own this book? By show of hands, none. And I said, you all are leaders. You need this book. Do not leave without this book in your hands. You all agree with that? Yeah. My challenge to you, do not leave today without this book in your hands. But if you're going to change other people's life, you heard of the term BOGO? What's BOGO stand for? Okay, well in leadership terminology, it's buy one, give one. It's buy one, give one. So you don't leave with one, you leave with two. You change your life, and then you give this as a gift to change someone else's life. Now, Michael and Margaret at the back of the room, they have plenty of these here. My challenge to you guys is buy one and give one to change someone's life. Because see, God has given you gifts and talents that only you can use. Only you can use your gift and talents to impact other people. And I want to take just 1 minute to tell you a story I believe truly impacts and makes the point of your gifts and talents. The sun was beating down that day. The AstroTurf was really hot. The ice water would not quench his thirst. The bar was set at 17 feet, 3 inches higher than he had ever vaulted before. This day would be the most challenging day of young Michael Stone's life. 20,000 people remained in the stands. The last event had ended an hour ago. It was the final of the pole vault, and these 20,000 people couldn't wait to watch these finals and see who would win. There's something majestic about the pole vault. You know, there's the physicality of it, but there's also the aspect of flying through the air. And ever since Michael was a young boy, his mother would read him and tell him stories. And she would tell him stories in great detail. And it was always from a bird's eye view. And one of the stories that she would always tell him just stuck in his mind, and he replayed it over and over in his mind, so much so that when he would go out for a run to train for the pole vault, there was a country road he would be on. And when he would get out there, he could feel the sun on his skin. He could feel the breeze against his face. And as he would run down this country road, he could hear the gravel crunch under his feet. And there was always a locomotive that would come along, and he would see the locomotive, and he would race to beat it. And as soon as he would pass it, he would begin to soar like an eagle, and he could see all these places his mother would tell him about. Well, his mother Mildred loved to tell these stories, but his father Bert was one of these, you know, if you want it, you got to work for it kind of guys, real hard-nosed. So from the age of 14, Michael worked like crazy. He lifted weights, he trained, he ran. He also worked on the parents' farm. He worked all the time, so much so that Mildred thought, I wish he would ease up on this young boy. But Bert would say, no, you want it, you got to work for it. So here it was, the bar set at 17 feet. And if you would have thought that Michael would have been excited at all when he cleared 17 feet, you would have never known it. He simply found his pole, went back to his staging area. It was down to him and one other competitor in the final of the National Junior Olympics. If you would have thought he'd been excited at 17 feet 2 inches, you would have noticed. 17 feet 4 inches, you wouldn't have noticed. And as he's sitting there after clearing 17 feet 4 inches and he's stretching and he's getting ready, he hears the crowd give a big moan. And he knows his other competitor has missed his vault, and it's his turn. So he finds his pole, he gets to the starting lane for the vault, and as he's standing there and he's holding his pole, something strange starts to happen. He starts to have this cold sweat overtakes him, and he can feel it running down his back, and he feels a tremble at his feet. All these doubts start pouring into his head. He's thinking, what in the world is happening to me? Why, right now of all times, do I have these doubts? And his thoughts went to his mother, because his mother said, listen, if you ever get really nervous, just stop and take a few deep breaths and relax. So he sets his pole down, sits down and does some push-ups. He takes some deep breaths. He stands up and he gets his pole and he heads down the lane. As soon as he took that first step, his mind went back to that country road. He couldn't hear the crowd anymore. He could hear the robins singing. He could feel the sun on his skin. He could feel the breeze through his hair. And as he charged down that path, he could hear that locomotive. And as soon as he saw that locomotive, he really poured on the steam until he passed that locomotive. Then he was soaring like an eagle. Now, I don't know whether it was his back hitting the mat or the crowd erupting that brought him out of it to let him know he cleared 17 feet. 6 inches. He went on that day to clear 17 feet, 6.5 inches. He set a new national and international junior Olympics record. And you would think his life would be changed forever. It's an interesting story, and it's very compelling. But what makes it most compelling is the fact you really have to understand Michael Stone is blind. My challenge to you, if God has given you gifts and talents, and now He's given you tools and avenues and vehicles, if a young man can clear 17 feet 6.5 inches that's blind, what can you do with these gifts and talents utilizing this vehicle that God is giving you? The challenge is yours, guys. Started with me right here. Buy one, give one. I encourage you to do the same. I think you guys are going to have an awesome impact in life. I'm excited for you. As Matt can tell you, we talk all the time. It's an exciting thing to do to be able to impact people's lives. You don't have a clue as to what impact you're going to have, but I know it's going to be awesome. Thank you, guys.